Do you guys want an average man?
Average, define average.
An average man. Do you want an average man?
looking?
Sure. Average looking, just average. Average.
Do I want an average man? I would probably prefer someone
Well,
that's
I
not
suppose-
so average.
Yes, I would like
Yeah.
a 10 out of 10 woman who's a billionaire, sure, but whether I can get her or not, that's another question. Do you recognize that you may very well end up with an average man or have to?
I wouldn't say
I would-
have to.
Well, you don't
You know,
have to, but
you love who you love. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. If he's average,
Love is love.
I mean, you think he's average maybe to the other person, but to me, I think he may be the hottest guy in the world. That doesn't mean everybody else is going to think that.
okay.
So it's like, am I settling? No, because I love him. I think he's gorgeous.
Love is blind. So an average man could be everything to someone that's in love.
Okay. But there's just sort of the statistical
reality of it.
If we assume that most people are average or fall within the average, then isn't it fair to say that they ought to partner up with somebody who is also average?
No, not necessarily.
Well, this kind of, interestingly enough, goes back to the conversation about a guy with a high body count desiring a woman with a low body count. What I see is a lot of average women don't want average men. So again, a lot of women desire traits and partners that they themselves possess. You have average women who are chasing after men who are, quite frankly, out of their league. And so my pushback on the whole self-assessment of being a 10 thing really just boils down to what I see as a major issue going on in the dating marketplace. Average women don't want average men. Average women think they're above average or a 10. Thus, you have average women that are going to be chasing after exceptional or above average men. You have average women who are going to reject men who are commensurate to them in terms of their appearance or their social standing or social status. So you're going to reject the men who are actually on your level. You're going to, if you happen to find yourself down the road in a relationship with this sort of man, after you've perhaps attempted to chase after men who are outside of your league, you're going to ultimately end up having contempt for the men that you end up settling with. You're probably not going to be satisfied in the relationship because you're going to be pining for this exceptionally attractive guy who perhaps you got his divided attention. A lot of women get caught up in these situationships, friends with benefits, fuck buddies, one-night stand situations, fuck boys, whatever it may be. And but you'd almost prefer having the divided attention of a hyper-attractive man because you can get his sexual attention. You're not going to get his romantic attention. You're not going to get his marriage attention. You're not going to get his relationship and commitment attention because there's a differential here. So as a man, if I can sleep with a girl, there's a pretty high likelihood that I can get her in a relationship. But you can't say the same in the reverse. Like if you can sleep with a guy, that doesn't mean you can necessarily get him into a relationship. So this is where women get into trouble because
when you have the WAP, you could definitely get him into a relationship.
Is that what you think gets you into a relationship?
Not necessarily, but that's
pussy?
That's really.
What? I've never heard.
You need to bring a lot more to the table than sex to
and I do.
get him in.
Yeah.
Right, but you just cited your wet ass pussy.
I thought it's
No,
whack.
yeah.
I thought
get
it's whack.
into
If you
a-
have,
Yeah,
if you, if
yeah.
I could get a man into a relationship if I try.
You think so?
Yeah.
Any man?
No, I'm not saying any man, but if I really want to, I feel like I could. The majority.
You think so?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, it's a bit of a delusional take. So you think that of the men that would sleep with you, you could get them all into, most of them or all of them into relationships?
Majority.
She's managed to get 5,000 so far, so I'd like to think so.
Anyways, it just occurs to me that like
I got Madison's number, didn't I?
well, here's a complaint that I hear from a lot of women. They're struggling to get commitment. They're in situationships. They get cheated on, and it does occur to me that perhaps, not all the time, but perhaps are these women and I don't think women are fully beholden to their hypergamous nature, but are they chasing after men who are, quite frankly, out of their league?
Me personally, I don't chase after men.
Okay. You don't pursue men? I
No.
mean,
Never had to.
They pursue her.
okay. Well, you're currently in a relationship, sort of. I mean, you were kind of vague about your relationship status, but
But what? Yeah, I don't pursue men. Men pursue me. Would I if I had to? Yes. And I think
look,
I think I've had enough experience to know who to go after, and when I see a fuckboy, I could tell, and I wouldn't be going after the fuckboy.
Here's a big difference, right? So, okay, as a man, if a man can have sex with a woman of a certain physical attractiveness level that he would, I'm not saying all men do this, right? But there's enough out there where it can certainly present a problem in the dating marketplace. So a man will sleep with a woman, maybe even keep her around for casual sex, might even keep her around as a friends with benefits. But just based off of her looks, she will never get commitment. But that almost rarely happens the other way. And so what ends up happening, women can sleep outside of their league. As a guy, I can't sleep with women out of my league, like for casual sex. Like I can't, like if I'm gonna just go for casual sex and I'm not inclined to do it, like I'm going down, I'm looking down, right? Now the girl I want to be in a relationship with, I want parity there. I want her to be on my level looks wise, right? But like for a casual sexual encounter.
Nickelodeon donated
Thank you, man.
$100. If it's so easy, call up Ombre and make it official. She said it out loud. She gets everything a girlfriend needs from a man without the relationship. Probably hitting dudes on the side. Sad.
Is it true?
I'm hitting dudes on the side.
I don't know. I'm asking if it's true.
I'm not hitting dudes on the side. I make most of my content is girl content.
Sure. Now, here's the difference. So thank you, Nickelodeon. For a woman to, I'm trying to think the best way to articulate this. It's sort of like a little complex thought, but for a woman to have sex with a guy, typically, he needs to be at least physically attractive enough for her to see herself being in a relationship with him. But the same can't be said for men.
Exactly. They go after the easy ones.
Right. But when a woman goes for casual sex, she's gonna like, okay, well, if I'm gonna have casual sex, it's gonna be with
Billy
a really
Jr.
hot dude.
donated
Whereas it's the
$100.
reverse with men.
I want the women at the table to rate themselves in comparison to the lady in the first seat with denim.
Okay.
And if above, why? Feminine, cute, and realistic self-rating. We need more of it in society.
Well, I mean, all the women have already rated their looks. I'm not sure.
That's quite strange.
They did already. I don't know if you saw were here when they already did the 1 to 10. I don't know. I mean, if you guys want, you can. In
You
comparison to,
completely
I don't wanna
underrated
compare
yourself.
myself.
They're just
When you
saying
said-
that Lillian is the hottest one.
I guess
at the
they're saying
table,
Lily's,
is what they're saying.
I don't know if
And
you look
I
at her
think
Twitter,
you
you might.
underrated yourself, Lillian. You're very beautiful.
Thank you. But I don't think that's true. But
So, where was I? I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you, and why I think it's important for women to have a realistic self-assessment of their own physical attractiveness in the dating marketplace, is if you've gassed yourself up to the point where you think you're perhaps more attractive than you actually are, you're perhaps going to chase men who you think are on your level, but actually are out in actuality, in reality, objectively are out of your league. They'll never give you commitment. You're going to spend your 20s jumping from next exciting guy to next exciting guy, next hot guy, next fuck boy. You're going to start getting baggage and trauma and all this stuff. And then you're going to wait to settle down in your 30s, and you're going to settle down. You're going to view like you're settling down for a guy who's actually on your level, who there's parity with. It's probably that's a catastrophic recipe, likely for divorce, because you're going to view your partner with contempt. Oh, why couldn't I get one of the hot dudes in my youth, when I was younger, to commit to me? He's not as good in bed. He's not as hot. He's not as sexy. And that's what's going on. Not all women, of course, but a lot of women spending their 20s just casual sex.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like a lot of women that are dating men these days are not doing it in a smart way. You have to pick your men. You got to pick the men you sleep with. Because like he said, most of the men that you sleep with are not going to commit to you. And they won't even take you on dates. They don't see you procreating with them.
Yep.
Yeah, but here's the problem. The guy who is prepared to commit to you, he might not be as attractive. He might not be as attractive as the guys who.
I love the dad bod. I don't want a man with a six pack. I don't look for looks.
But the differential here is that as a guy, if I'm like trying to hit up a girl who's out of my league, men get rejected on the front end. Women will get rejected on the back end. You might get rejected like months down into a situationship when this guy had no intention of committing to you. And I think, frankly, that's a scummy way for men to move. But let's be realistic. There are men who are going to move like that. And the reality is, women are choosing a lot of these men. If you look on dating apps, for example, women swipe on only like the top 5, top 10% of men. So it just sets women up to be in the situation where, while for their short-term strategy to pursue these like hyper attractive men, they might be able to get sex with them. So that's kind of where I'm going with, like, well, as a guy, I can't shoot out of my league and like just I can't get anything from a girl who's out of my league. I can't get casual sex. I can't get a relationship. I can't get nothing. So I get the instantaneous rejection. Whereas like women, you can secure sex from like men who are like way out of your league. You guys might even have dudes who are in your DMs, like athletes, musicians, rappers.
But
they're not going to give you commitment though. But we've had 19-year-old girls who've been on the show who got 500 followers who go to UCSB, and they get NBA players in their DMs. Like, these girls are nobodies. And I'm not saying that to insult them, but they have no status. They're just normal college girl. They got NBA players, NFL players, professional athletes in their DMs, and then the average 19-year-old guy is gonna. How's she gonna, like, comparatively speaking, it's like once you've had a certain tier, once you've had like a certain attention from a certain caliber of man, it's like very hard to like, when you start making a lot of money, you have something called lifestyle creep. So if you start, if you're making $100,000 a month, some people still try to keep it simple, but like you're gonna start having lifestyle creep. And then if you lose all that, like if your financial circumstances change, you're going to have a bit of a shock, like having to go back. Okay, shit, I got roommates again now. If your circumstances ever do change. Same thing, like, have you ever, like you used to be in uni and you used to go like to the dude's dorm room and he had 3 roommates, like 3 dudes in his room. And then all of a sudden you date a guy with his own house. It's like, it's kind of like hard to go back to once you've dated somebody who's got like their shit together, So in the same way that people have lifestyle creep once they start making a lot of money, once you start dating a certain caliber of man, you start like having dating creep, as I'd like to call it. And it's like hard to like date the normal average guy once you've had a taste of like a certain tier of man. But that tier of man is open to like a much wider margin of women.
That's true.
Right? You have
literally facts. You just blew my mind.
Let's go. Okay. All right. But like, but you have like, famous guys in your DMs and like, the.
Anything? What's like the most? Like,
actually, Natalie has a couple, right?
Oh, really?
I don't want to dox anyone.
Well,